Hello everyone, welcome to another collection video. This is a collection that is ending far sooner than I had hoped, and actually brings up a very serious issue with the future accessibility of a lot of content, especially a lot of modern TV shows and original productions on things like Netflix and Hulu, Amazon Prime and all that. But first, let's start with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, our collection for that show, the Season 1 and 2 pack. It's Always Sunny is a hilarious show that has remained relevant all the way through the current season. It was fantastic going to see them in Ireland, and especially being a big Star Trek fan, seeing Colm Meaney in there, it was great. It remains relevant in its humor and its commentary. Part of it is helped from being a modern series so that the seasons have very small episode counts, so you have a lot more time and space to come up with really good ideas, but it's still impressive that they've been able to keep the show so high quality and consistently throughout the years. Really funny show, discovered once it was around probably its fourth or fifth season is when I started watching it, and then there were reruns all the time, late night, when Amanda and I first started dating, and she would go to bed always before I would and that kind of thing, so I'd be up and I'd watch these, reruns of older episodes and catch up, and then we've been watching it together ever since. It's a series that we both really enjoy, one of those sitcoms that we just pop on if we want to watch something together for half an hour. A lot of fun. Season 3, and for me this is where it really takes off. I do enjoy Season 1 and 2. I definitely think that they benefited from the character of Frank coming in and his evolution over the years. Danny DeVito is a great actor, someone we've both enjoyed from a lot of his older movies and, of course, TV shows like Taxi and things. So he's an actor that we always really enjoyed, and I think he was a great addition and didn't try in any way to kind of take over the show with his star power. Like, didn't turn into Danny DeVito being the main draw of the show. It was just another one of the group and fit in perfectly, and how those characters evolved over the years. Season 4, which has one of my favorite episodes, Nightman Cometh. I think that was a brilliant production and was one of the first examples of their musical talents that have been present throughout the entire show. There are a lot of musical numbers, a lot of singing, a lot of dancing, that type of thing throughout the entire show, and this is one of the best examples of putting that talent to the test. Really great. Season 5. Season 6, and then the one big standalone special that they did that I absolutely loved. We have It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, A Very Sunny Christmas on DVD. I'm a big fan of Christmas specials, Christmas episodes of TV shows. I think if they're done well, they can be very memorable, and they're usually a lot of my favorites of different shows, and this is no exception. So that is the only release we also have on Blu-ray. I love what they did with this, and it's a great Christmas special, and great even like a standalone thing too. It's obviously much better if you're invested in these characters and know them well, but you can even watch it on its own. It stands up. It's fantastic. For me, it's my favorite thing they've ever done, and I love, I grew up with the Rankin Bass and everything. I love how they utilize that in their own perverse way. It's just fantastic. I think it's a classic and one of the best things I've ever done, and my personal favorite. Season 7, overall, if I had to pick a favorite season, this would be my favorite. There's just so many great episodes, and these sets are really nice. I have to point out, because of the later point I'll be making later, the DVD releases all the way through Season 10 are high quality, they're nice, they have decent extras, the commentaries are usually really, really funny. Season 7 is my favorite because it has a lot of individual favorites. Frank's Pretty Woman. I love the movie Pretty Woman with Julia Roberts. Gang goes to the Jersey Shore. I went to that Jersey Shore every single year growing up. I live near Philly. It's where I grew up. And go to Jersey Shore all the time. Frank's Little Beauties. So many great ones. The Storm of the Century. And the first we have The Game of Games, Charity McDennis. And Storm of the Century also brings up another point to a whole bunch of good ones in the season. How part of the charm of the show is that even over getting close to 2 decades now, they have created a massive cast of reoccurring characters, and some of them, like the news reporter Jackie DiNardo, she only shows up a handful of times, but it's over a span of like almost a decade. They just bring these people back, and it really creates a fun world to exist in with all these recurring characters, and that's part of what keeps the show going, keeps its charm, is a lot of the supporting cast as well. Season 8. Season 9. And then one of my favorite covers of the DVDs, we have Season 10. And that is the last season that we own because of this growing problem. And Fox is one of the worst out there because it affects a lot of their programming. After Season 10, the Always Sunny DVD releases are MODs. They are manufacture on demand. They're lower quality, burned DVDs. Very few animations and like little bells and whistles to the menus like the older DVDs had. They're lacking in special features. They're just not as high quality. They cost more, and they're manufactured on demand. It's really sad because there's some really good episodes in later seasons. There's a few, like one of my favorites is the water park, and there's so many other ones in later seasons that are never going to get a full press disc release. They're just print on demand. A lot of Fox shows are meeting that demise. Another one would be Bob's Burgers, a show that Amanda and I really like. Here's seasons 1, 2, and 3. And those are the only ones that are available as full, normal, pressed releases. Starting with season 4, the only other season that we own. Starting with season 4, it is a manufacture on demand. It is a mod disc, and the rest of the series is like that if it's available at all. And a lot of shows in general, and Fox in particular with their releases, are like that. And even long-running shows like The Simpsons, like I would be furious if I was a supporter of The Simpsons and like a super fan from the start, from the late 80s, early 90s, because you're at a point already where you're not going to be able to own the entire series physically. They're like stopping production. And even then, there are seasons that are only available on DVD, ones that are only available on Blu-ray, so you can't even have like a big matching set. I mean, it's really disturbing. And a lot of people I know will be like, who cares? People are going to care in the future. This is about the preservation of media, of these shows, whether your personal favorite of yours or not. And it's not a problem right now with a lot of these, because something Always Sunny, Bob's Burgers, they're widely available on streaming services. There's a lot of access, and they're even on like regular TV. Not a problem right now, but we're talking about in the future. And a lot of these shows that, like this, only have a partial home release, and then things that will never have a physical release. A lot of these streaming exclusive productions that are becoming a greater and greater portion of what people watch are eventually just going to go away forever. They're going to vanish. One that comes to mind, because it's one that I enjoyed, and it's one of Amanda's favorite shows, 3% on Netflix, has no physical release anywhere, and eventually that's not going to be popular enough to warrant keeping on the streaming service, and that'll go away. And even these shows, something as huge and popular as It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, these shows follow a pattern. These big, like, mega hit, long-running shows, eventually they hit a point where people have seen every episode so many times, they get a little tired of it. Its popularity will finally go away after the show ends, and it'll have a resurgence down the line. Like 10 years later, maybe 15 years later, at some point it'll have a resurgence. People nostalgically will be wanting to check it out, or a new generation will start discovering episodes and want to rewatch the whole thing, and it'll come back in popularity. But in that in-between time, if it's not bringing in the numbers appropriate to keeping it live on a streaming service, they're going to pull it off. There are a lot of things that are either going to kind of come and go, and you're going to have a particular service to even access it, or they're just going to disappear completely. A lot of those shows that won't have any physical releases whatsoever are just going to be gone. And when it comes down to numbers, a lot of those shows, companies might not see fit to even preserve within their own archives for later use or anything. Some of it really it's just going to be thrown away. It's just going to go away. That's what's happening. And again, I'm a big proponent of being able to have physical copies, quality physical releases of content, so you can control what you want to watch, when you want to watch it, preserve it for yourself and your own archival purposes, whether it's making additional copies in later years or buying different versions, or however you want to go about doing that. But just trying to be certain that you have access to these things and within your control. It's being taken away very quickly, and that even goes to re-releases of some shows that are fairly widely available. They're not shows that are going to be going away or anything, but you get the good news that a certain show is like, oh man, Charmed is coming to Blu-ray. That's awesome. But only the first season is an actual pressed release. The rest are all manufacture on demand. You have shows like I Love Lucy, one of the most popular TV shows ever made. It's still one of the most popular TV shows in the world. It's definitely like just one of the most popular and well-known franchises ever. Only seasons 1 and 2 were put in these Blu-ray packs, which were amazing. A lot of great restorations, original commercials, all kinds of extra features. I mean, these are great. I would buy the entire set if they came out with them, but that was it, seasons 1 and 2. So even these more widely available things that are never going to completely disappear, you might not always have access to the best possible versions, and not everyone's going to care about things like special features. But if you're someone who does, and if you're passionate about physical media, you probably are, that's one of the downsides of these streaming services. There's almost no extra content, really. Commentaries, behind the scenes, interviews, all that stuff that comes with a physical release. A lot of that is either non-existent now, or it's just going to go away forever. I'm happy to have It's Always Sunny, at least through season 10. It's a show we really enjoy and love, but it is sad that I'll never be able to own a complete, pressed release of the entire show. And it became a tradition too for a while, where Amanda would always get me 1 or 2 seasons of It's Always Sunny, for like a holiday, like Christmas, my birthday, or whatever. The past 5 or 6 years, I think that's pretty much how we built the collection. When Amanda would do that, it became kind of a tradition. We'd watch those together, and on maybe like Saturday we get some special treat like pizza or Chinese or whatever, and just eat a meal together and relax and watch a couple episodes from It's Always Sunny. That was always a thing we would do, and it's just sad that that's not really a thing we can do anymore. We can still watch it, obviously, but it's just not quite the same, and it is frustrating to not be able to have true access to copies to own of these TV shows. And it is a widening problem as we shift more towards the majority of popular programming coming from these different streaming services. It's not a guarantee anymore that any of those are going to come to any kind of physical format. I always think about too, even some of the big shows the last couple of years, a lot of that Marvel and the Star Wars shows on Disney Plus, and some of those might come to a physical release, but they might also hold them, ransom to the streaming service as sort of a, well, if you want to watch it, you have to have our streaming service. And as that mentality takes over, more and more stuff is going to be just locked behind these streaming services, and you'll be completely at the mercy of corporate decisions whether or not those things even stay there. So it is just a sad chapter that we're entering, and some things are thankfully being preserved by a lot of these very niche release lines on Blu-ray, and then you have a little more mainstream side like Warner Archive. Their Blu-ray content is fantastic. Kino Lorber has been really kicking it into high gear. Even Mill Creek with a lot of their Blu-ray releases, even though there's some controversy with quality, they're at least doing them when other companies aren't. And so hopefully those types of programs get a lot of support and they don't kind of disappear like Twilight Time and those kind of things. Hopefully these high quality things, it's becoming more of just, the physical content and the physical media realm is becoming slowly collectors only. There are a few mainstream things like the Marvel movies and Star Wars and things that will continue to come out, but it's really becoming a collector's only market, and not everything is going to be seen by companies as being profitable enough to get a full release if it is just a niche collector's market. So a lot of stuff's just kind of going away, and that is a sad state of affairs.